Hey, Klaus, new look?
What can I say? Laundry day.
I just saw your sign in the window. It looks like you're finally doing some advertising.
Well, yes, in a small way, I guess I am.
A small way? A small way? Are you kidding me? Don't be so modest. The sign in the window says you've got the world's biggest hamburger. That's something significant. That's the kind of thing which will put your little shop on the map. I'll bet the TV crews and the newspaper people will be filling up the store before too long. Who knows, you might even get an article in the Layman. That would be something. Then, of course, there is the Guinness World Record, people. I don't know what the size of the world's biggest hamburger used to be, but I'm mighty proud you've broken that record.
Thank you.
So, where is it? Where you have this Goliath, this mountain, this behemoth, this titanic masterpiece of butcherdom? Is it in the freezer? In the cooler? Out back so pictures can be taken? Don't keep me in suspense. Let me see this thing.
Here it is. Well, what do you think?
Klaus, I'm at a loss for words.
World's biggest hamburger. Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Klaus, you don't really claim that this is the world's biggest burger. It's a teeny tiny thing. It would be in the running for the world's largest micro hamburger, but that's about it. It's pitiful.
You think so?
I do. Tell me, whatever gave you the idea you could call this the world's biggest burger?
Well, I got the idea from the Center for Inquiry. They were advertising the Reason Rally, which took place in Washington. They called it the largest secular event in world history.
So what's the problem with that?
Well, it wasn't the largest secular event in world history.
It wasn't?
No, not even close. So I figured if they could call their shrimpy thing the biggest secular event in world history, well, I could call this the world's biggest hamburger.
Well, now you got me curious. What are some of the secular events which were bigger than the Reason Rally?
Well, I don't know where to begin. Let's see. How about World War II? World War II was responsible for the deaths of more than 25 million soldiers. That doesn't count the wounded nor civilian deaths. World War II was a big secular event. On a smaller scale, there is World War I. That only racked up 9.5 million military deaths. Then there's a 10-year global Great Depression. That was a big secular event. Certainly don't want to forget communism. Let's see, under Stalin, somewhere around 20 million people were murdered. Then there's Chairman Mao. His death count is somewhere between 20 and 60 million. Both of those were really big secular events which touched a lot of people.
Well, Klaus, do you really call those secular events?
Of course I do. Most certainly weren't religious events. Communism and fascism were against Christianity, even as the Reason Rally took a stand against God. In fact, some of the special speakers at the Reason Rally have gone on record as saying religion is responsible for most of the world's problems. Well, that's baloney. All things I just mentioned were not religious events, and they took place after religion in general and Christianity in particular had been pushed to the side, and pseudo-sophisticated folks said they didn't need God anymore. Well, look what happens when people don't need God.
I see what you mean. So what is the biggest non-secular event in world history?
Oh, that's easy. Biggest religious event in history is when Jesus came into this world to save all of sinful humanity. 2,000 years ago, the Son of God gave his life for those who had by their transgressions alienated themselves from their Lord. In his life, Jesus loved us all. In his death, he prayed for the forgiveness of those who'd hated him so much so, they had him railroaded to a cross.
I suppose the folks who went to the Reason Rally would say that was baloney.
I'm sure they would, and they're entitled to their opinion. So maybe I ought to sum it up by saying they have a right to do what they want. They can believe their way, and I'll believe his way. And that, I can assure you, is no baloney.
You too can become the baloney expert and have your picture hung on the wall. If you find a news story you think is an obvious bunch of baloney, email your story to ken.klaus@lhm.org. If your story is used in a Baloney Shop episode, we'll hang your picture in this honored spot.